Let's talk about Scott Peterson.
Yeah.
Again. Episode 3 of Face to Face with Scott Peterson.
Yep.
We're going to find out if we're wrong about him in the next 58 minutes.
Mm-hmm. How much hope do you have?
I have nothing
for that. I'm low.
I was going to say 12%.
Okay.
Because I'm being generous.
Yes, yeah. That's very generous.
Yeah.
I just not seeing a lot yet, but again,
in 58 minutes we might be new people.
Yeah,
we may have changed our tune.
Yeah, we might be like, wow, old me.
Who was she? Never.
What were you thinking?
But let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Okay, love it.
Most murder cases are circumstantial.
You take one of the things, it's nothing. But when you add them up, it's pretty darn strong.
The totality.
Totality of the circumstances is a legal term.
That's why we have you here. You know everything.
As your expert. Also, I feel like they've wasted 2 hours of my life up to this point retelling me this story.
With
nothing else. Nothing new.
Yeah, they haven't said anything that makes me question it.
No.
The information we were given in that courtroom only leads to the decision we came up with, which is he's
You're damn
guilty.
right.
Agreed.
It's going to be a fight for them to accept the truth.
A fight for us to accept the truth. Well, Scott, you've never told me the truth before.
You're right.
Okay, December 13th, 2004. Here we go.
California versus Scott Peterson. We, the jury, fixed the penalty at death.
Yep.
I wonder if it says anything that Mark Garagos is not taking part in this because he represented him and supposedly believed he was innocent.
Then you ran out of money, she got bored and threw you out.
I know you don't always have to believe your client is innocent to do your job, but
yeah,
I just wonder if there's a reason he's not doing it.
I strive not to show you.
I'm going to be honest. I strive not to show emotion in the courtroom because I don't want them to see me break, blah, blah, blah. But he looks more inconvenienced. Like that shot of him when they were like death penalty, he just looked, it was giving a very like pretentious, like, do you know who I am?
Yeah. Yes.
Like not a like, holy shit, I'm about to die. Like,
yeah.
Do you know who, I'm calling my mom and you're going to be so sorry.
Yeah.
He would repeatedly say he was living visit to visit.
Okay, but he's manipulative and that feels very manipulative to me. That feels very much like when you're trying to break up with someone and they're like, if you leave me, I'm going to kill myself. You're the only reason I can go on. Like, that's a you problem. That's not a me problem.
I'm sure there's a lot of people that feel that way, but also like,
yeah.
I mean, dude,
I don't know.
Maybe you shouldn't kill your wife.
Maybe.
17 years, my kids were grown. Ultimately, I made the decision to go to law school. I certainly have a much better understanding of the case and the issues.
So, okay, I'm sorry. This whole thing happens and she feels called to go to law school, but not to help Scott.
Is she like a practicing lawyer? Like, does she have other clients?
I don't know. Janie, what's her name? Okay, let's see. I mean, she's licensed in California. She has her own practice.
Okay.
Oh my God, she was just admitted last year.
Oh, so she law school's not short, but.
I mean, it's 3 years. That would be that she started in 2000.
Okay.
Well, typically it's 3 years. It depends on where she went to school, I guess. I'm sticking to the seat. I'm so sorry.
15. The first thing I had to do.
Okay, I can't tell that she's actually practicing anywhere, but that doesn't mean that she's not. She has Janie Peterson Law as her firm, which is a solo practice.
So it could be her at home looking through Scott's stuff.
It could be, yeah.
All right, let's talk about it.
Oh, here we go.
Let's talk about the burglary.
As kind of a meth addict, and it was a crime of opportunity.
This is the journalist. He wasn't on the jury, right?
Correct.
He's
I think he was there during the trial, but he was not on the jury.
A larger effort to burglarize houses in that neighborhood.
Okay.
I would call it a criminal network.
That feels dramatic. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think it's much more complicated than what the police.
But why does he think more people were involved? He said he can't prove it. What makes him think that? Like, I would like to know what information.
I feel like that's what we've gotten this whole time is that well, we've got this theory. I think there were more people involved.
Yeah.
Okay, why do you think that?
There must have been.
There just had to be. Okay, but why?
It wasn't until much later that people began to question whether this burglary really occurred on December 26th.
It didn't. There's no way it did.
Yeah.
The Medina burglary on December 24th. At 11:40 a.m., Diane Jackson saw 3 men that were dark-skinned, not African-American.
But they weren't.
But that's 11:40 a.m. in front of the Medina home.
And Lacey was already gone
Yes.
because at 10:30, that's when they put the dog back.
It's their practice to share targets like
Okay. He's theorizing about a criminal network, and we don't know what his basis for theorizing about this criminal network is. And now he's also theorizing about how this criminal network works, saying that they share marks and they do like. Is there a criminal network? And if there is, how do you know? Like,
But why do they think other people came to help with it?
I don't know.
Other
I haven't
than-
gotten a clear answer about
Other
that.
than they must have had other people help. You mean to tell me that these men argued with Lacey at 10:15,
At 11:40.
10:20 because the dog, when she's out walking the dog,
Oh yeah.
because the dog is put back after that
Mm-hmm.
by 10:36 or whatever. And then they stay across the street with her, tied up in the van or some shit for another hour and a half?
I guess.
You get in and you get out. Like, I don't.
If they realistically, if someone saw them, right? In theory, wouldn't they want to get out of there immediately?
Especially if
If
you
they-
abducted somebody.
Exactly. Like, why would they hang around? That makes no sense.
She could scream. She could get out. She could bang on the door. These are people who know her
Yeah.
around. Like,
But even if okay, so let's say that she did confront them. They were going to abduct her, but let's just say they go ahead and kill her. So we know she's not going to make any noise, but she's stashed in this van now.
they're not going
They're not going to stay there. You've got a dead body. Like, can you imagine if that actually happens? The panic that they're probably feeling. Like, I could see if that happened that they did panic kill her.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that was not their intention when they got there. Like, they had no intention of like killing someone.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are in that heightened state of panic where you're like, holy shit, this girl just confronted us. Now we've got to like dip up out of here.
And the Peterson side saying that Lacey would have been likely to confront these people or say something from across the street, hey, get out of here or whatever, directly contradicts Scott's claim that he told her he was having an affair and she was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
The
If she's going to confront some strangers that she doesn't know anything about, because confronting a stranger is much more dangerous, at least like you should have more apprehension about confronting a stranger.
If I saw somebody robbing somebody else's house, I would just call 911. I
Yeah.
wouldn't go fucking up to them. Like, that
Yeah.
wouldn't make a lot of sense. But, like, I just don't.
It's not adding up.
No, their timeline of it happening on the 24th, right after Scott left, which didn't he leave at like fucking 10 in the morning?
Yeah.
9:30, 10. So right after he leaves, she goes out. So now we're playing with an hour and a half, possibly 2 hours of them fucking off over there. Like,
Yeah.
it
That
just
just makes
doesn't
sense.
make any sense.
I thought, despite the hatred towards Scott, that they would actually listen to the evidence.
But what is the evidence?
There's no evidence here. There's no forensic evidence. There's nothing to tie him to the murder.
Numerous witnesses reported seeing a suspicious brown van in the neighborhood that morning.
That van is not brown, it's orange.
Yeah, that's an orange van. Yeah.
and that had burned in the airport district the morning after Lacey disappeared. Maybe that's our brown van.
When we cut it away and we stuck it into the container that had the luminol in it, it went blue. There's human blood on that item.
Okay.
Blood. Luminol will fluoresce for animal blood as well. But
You're really taking the fun out of this, you know?
sorry.
You're going to shoot this theory straight to the moon and we're going to lose it.
Wouldn't they have a match to Lacey's blood at this point? Or are they saying this never got tested?
I guess they're saying it didn't get tested.
But why would they not test it if the luminol showed
Well,
blood?
why is it not in his report? Would he not have put that in the report?
I would think.
It was It was a really high-profile development in the case,
Okay, so we knew about it.
and it was tested there, and they couldn't detect blood.
Okay. What else
So
makes
at
luminol
that
light
point,
up?
it seemed like the air left the van.
Tested
It
it.
was human blood or not, but there was human DNA.
Okay.
But it said no blood detected.
But they wouldn't be made aware. The defense would not be made aware because this is not connected to the disappearance. If anything, it's connected to the robbery, which they've already said was not connected to Lacey. So there's no reason for the defense to have been made aware of this at that point.
Now, should you, if I were the detective, would I say, okay, well, there's no blood here, but there is DNA. Let's just test that against Lacey to be sure.
Yeah. Well, presumably, if they're testing blood for blood and they're cross-referencing Lacey, are they testing against her specifically, or are they just doing a general test to say, is there blood? No, there's not.
I think initially it's just
Just a
is there
general.
blood.
Okay.
Yeah, but then if there would have been blood, then they could have cross-referenced that. But
Yeah.
maybe the defense is saying
That we should have had it.
we should have tested the DNA, but they didn't. I don't know. But yeah, the question of discovery is interesting. Should they have been given that or not?
It's weird that they automatically jumped to let's test this for Lacey if it was already concluded that the robbery was not related. If it came back as no evidence of no blood, then there would be no reason for them to give it to them.
I don't know. If it was part of the case at all, I think it should have been given to him. But I'm
Yep.
just not sure that it would have. The way that it panned out, which was
Yeah.
no blood detected. I don't know, but maybe we'll find out more on the DNA.
It's
Because
I
they're
don't like that they're leaving it vague. Tell me why specifically
Exactly.
they should have had it.
which
I feel like so far we're just getting like theories and well, I think this
Yeah.
happened, or like I've got some thoughts on it. Okay,
Yeah.
but you're not telling me why you have these thoughts at
Yeah,
all.
I believe the burglary could have happened here in this way at this time. I believe that they could have
Yeah.
seen Lacey on her walk. I believe she could have confronted them. Like,
Anything could have happened.
yeah. And I get a defendant, the burden of proof is not on the defendant, but
Yeah.
he has been convicted. So now it is, right? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, you've got to fight like hell to get
Yeah.
conviction relief. Like,
Well, and maybe this is still ongoing and that's why they're not giving us
yeah.
their why.
Yeah.
But still, like, you've gone through the effort of making this 3-part documentary to tell me that I should
Change our
believe you and
minds, yeah.
change your mind, but you're not giving me any reason to change my mind.
You're giving me maybe could have.
Yeah.
We all know that Lacey went missing on December 24th. The dog was found in the neighborhood with a leash on.
What's that underneath the dog?
Looks like blood.
It looks like a lot of blood.
And 10:18, and she had closed the gate. The neighbors across the street. they had left.
10:18. That even backs it up even further.
You have the neighbor, Diane Jackson, seeing a van in men the morning of December 24th, the day that Lacey went missing. So the
Okay.
evidence indicates that the Medina burglary started the morning of December 24th.
Sure, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
The idea that Lacey's already dead by 10:18
She didn't have to be dead by 10:18, but she ain't at the house.
couldn't have been involved.
It meant the jury didn't hear evidence about the burglary.
So tell me why it's what are you?
Tell me why that's important.
Defense discovers this bit of potential evidence from a mailman.
Oh, I remember the mailman. I remember this
And he
vaguely.
claims that he delivered mail between 10:35, 10:55. And what he did notice was that Mackenzie, the dog that always barked every time he delivered mail, wasn't barking. And that the gate at the Peterson home was open.
If Lacey is alive after 10:30, Lacey could have encountered the Medina burglary.
Why
But
would
that's
the
an
dog?
if. If she's still alive, she could have.
But why would the dog have its leash on and Lacey's just in the house and the dog's outside?
So any evidence that Lacey's alive after Scott leaves, whether it's Lacey walking the dog or Lacey encountering a burglary, is evidence that Scott is innocent.
But Janie, honey, riddle me this. How is everybody's sighting saying that she was wearing red and black when that's not what she was found in that day?
In January 2003, one of the correctional officers responsible for monitoring inmate calls overheard a conversation. There were rumors on the street that Lacey Peterson had walked up and interrupted a burglary down the street from her house.
That recording does not exist right now. Supposedly, the detectives looked everywhere. Was this something that was deep-sixed? The bottom line is, this was material.
Okay, are they saying they don't have the recording, the jailhouse recording, or are they saying they don't have the recording where, like, he called in the tip?
Lieutenant Aponte tip under further scrutiny. Aponte has recanted everything he said. Well, who's the officer that told you about it first? He couldn't remember. Where's your notes in the log where you log in all these tapes? Couldn't find it. Well, where's the tape? Don't have it. And that was the end of that. It was just a big malarkey.
But if they go to the guy to get the evidence and they're like, where's your log? Where are the tapes? Where is all of this? And he's like, oh, I don't have it. It's not that I want to continue to have the answer that I have. It's that I want you to tell me why that's not the right answer. And you haven't done that.
I need to hear a good answer from Scott about how he knew he was gonna spend his first Christmas without his wife before she ever went missing.
Yeah.
That's what I would like to know. Give me a good answer to that.
The problem for Scott Peterson is that now that he's off of death row, he's lost state-sponsored representation.
There's a number of problems with Scott's conviction, but one of the things going on in his case was that there needed to be some DNA testing. And Scott's attorney had noticed that the newly formed Los Angeles Innocence Project had a DNA grant.
Okay, so this is how we get them.
Attorneys reached out to the Los Angeles Innocence Project in the hopes that they would take on the case.
When the Innocence Project takes a case, it sends a message. When the Innocence Project gets involved,
I agree, it does. But like we said, this is not the Innocence Project.
Right.
And honestly, like, this feels to me a little bit like they saw an opportunity to get the testing they done wanted at little to no cost to them, and they were like, we got to jump on that.
Yeah.
Not like we sought out this organization kind of thing.
Other narrative going on that has been going on since that week, a burglary across the street that happened around the same time that she was supposed to go out for that walk.
They want to find out if a van that was found torched near the Modesto airport is connected to the burglary. Inside, investigators discovered a mattress with stains confirmed to be blood.
Who confirmed that?
Where?
DNA tests on those samples could be Lacey Peterson's blood.
I thought
Wait, where are we getting that information? Oh my God. I'm about to file a FOIA request. I'm about to spend $20,000 and I'm going to find that test. What are you talking about? You guys just said it was deemed not to be blood by the DNA test. And they said it. They said there was no blood, but there was DNA.
Yeah.
He said it.
Oh. Can I just be really cynical for a minute? I think the Los Angeles Innocence Project is an offshoot of the Innocence Project, right? We talked about that. I think they saw the opportunity for a high-profile case, Scott Peterson, to come along.
Get their name.
And they could get their name out there. Just like I think the Scott Peterson defense saw an opportunity to get the DNA testing they wanted for little to no cost to them and took advantage of it. I think they're mutually taking advantage of each other. I'm not saying he's not maybe innocent. Maybe this DNA comes back and he is. And if he is, absolutely he should be out of prison. That's not okay.
Yeah.
But I think that we should call this relationship what it is, as in mutually beneficial, and that's why they're both here. I feel like they've spun this whole documentary to make it seem like Scott's so innocent.
And we're at...
But I don't... We've got 18 minutes
left, and we're just now getting to what the fucking Innocence Project has.
I mean, this has been talked about. I don't have a reaction. I believe this is bullshit. There is absolutely...
Thanks, Brokini. Knew we could count on you.
Brokini is like, what the
I know.
About it. I have no doubt about Scott's involvement and the fact that he was the killer in it, because there's just too much circumstantial evidence to ignore. From the beginning of this investigation,
look at baby Bueller.
Oh, wasn't he so cute?
It turned out to be his blood, In the end of the bed, it looked like something laid there.
So this could have been a situation where maybe he strangled or smothered Lacey on the end of the bed
Which
there.
would leave no physical evidence. Or even if that wasn't the case, he could have just nicked himself, like literally anything. He lived there.
We knew he'd been fishing. There was salt water in the boat, but his fishing rod was more of a freshwater fishing rod. And
Well, he's never been fishing before.
The lure package is not being opened, though. What you gonna catch it with, Scott?
Suggests that there were witnesses that
His
saw.
manly aura is just going to draw the fish to him.
He's like, have you seen me?
Anybody that said they saw Lacey walking the dog got interviewed.
eyewitness testimony is very subjective. It would be very easy for a witness to...
How long was this walk that she went on? It looks like it's 117 miles.
I know. I want to know that.
Or more sinister, people who wanted to get involved in this.
Okay, I think that's it's a huge problem. And I don't think people want to get involved in from a malicious place a lot of times. I think they just very much are like, oh, I want to help. Like, this is in my community. I want to help my community. And they end up fucking shit
Yeah,
up.
what if I could help? Yeah.
Yeah.
He just said they talked to her doctor and they said she was not in any condition to be making that long of a walk.
People saw vans in the neighborhood.
Which, sorry, if you've been pregnant, you fucking know that. There's no way she's walking that far. By herself with her husband 90 miles away.
I guess it's possible, just like anything else is.
But it's also possible that Jennifer Lopez is going to call me after she leaves Ben Affleck and want to have a date.
You're right.
That might be happening, dude.
Listen, she's running out.
She gone. She gone. Way to slip your celebrity crush in there, though.
And if we had the wrong guy in prison, we would want to know about it.
I would hope so. I do know
hope so, too.
detectives
And I would
that
think-
don't.
I think the vast majority, though, do.
Yes, yes. You'd have to be so stupid to drive to the bay after Lacey went missing and everybody knew that they're saying the only way these people knew that Lacey or that Scott had been there was because it was all over the media. Well, the police were already crawling all over that bay.
Yeah.
Look, you'd have to be so stupid to go and dump a body with everybody on high alert at the bay.
Yeah. To do it after the fact wouldn't make sense.
No. And that's what they're saying happened. These people took her and then they dumped her later.
Yeah. And I imagine they are robbing that house at that time because they know no one's there. They don't want a confrontation. So at the point that if Lacey starts to approach them, why would they not just flee? Right? Because they're choosing to rob an empty house.
Correct. Yeah,
They're not here for violent crimes.
Yeah, if somebody does happen to say, oh, hey, like, you know, okay, it's a van, so could it be like a work van or something?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I think they're out of town, like whatever. Yeah, you'd just be like, oh, we got the
must be the wrong
address.
house.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit. Sorry, thank you for letting me know that. And then
Yeah.
get the out of there. Yeah, I just don't. I don't know. It just
Okay. Well,
it's making my head hurt. It's making my head hurt.
we've got 9 minutes left.